That is James Mennie. He is over at the Montreal Gazette. So, Jim, it's talking to Colton Prail. The inflation numbers coming out today, and you look at the first number, 1.7. You're thinking, wow, that's a big step in the right direction from where it was only a month ago at 2.3. Then, of course, you break down the details. You find that, yeah, it's not as good as it looks. You factor out gas, and it's pretty much the same or worse. And then, of course, you look at Quebec, where it's always worse. So what are you thinking? Is it time to have that talk about cutting or killing the carbon tax here?
Well, apparently more than half of Quebecers think that it is time. A Leger survey finds that, get rid of Quebec's made in Quebec, our distinct carbon tax, which some of our listeners may recall, but perhaps a great number of our listeners do not remember. This thing has been around for 18 years. It was inaugurated in 2007 on the watch of then Premier Jean Charest. It was considered very forward-looking. It was considered very avant-garde. It was a cap-and-trade deal that we had at that point with California and another jurisdiction whose name escapes me at the moment. But yes, my goodness, how things have changed, Aaron. The whole idea that we didn't want to get soiled with dirty energy. Let's face it, the entire panoply of BS that Quebec has managed to surround itself with when it comes to being environmentally concerned or sensitive has been revealed to be the absolute fraud that it's always been. As I've mentioned on the show before, surveys conducted over the past decade have shown that Quebecers are in favor of having pipelines coming through their territory. Quebecers are in favor of buying their gas from Canada, a country of which they are fully agree they are a part of, rather than buying it from some foreign power. And when you have people like Francois Legault, but not just him, let's give credit what credit's due, the entire smug kind of, we're not going to dirty our hands with filthy Canadian energy. Guess what? Quebecers want filthy Canadian energy because filthy Canadian energy will be substantially cheaper than the filthy foreign energy that they're buying right now. And the idea that somehow we are in the forefront because of our dams and our hydroelectric infrastructure. Once again, something we've mentioned repeatedly on this show, Quebecers are the champions, head and shoulders above the rest of the country when it comes to buying SUVs and some big-ass F-150 pickup trucks. So please, everyone take a pill. Everyone calm down. When I say everyone, I mean politicians and commentators. The jig is up. And yes, I can tell you, Aaron, that as heartfelt as what I'm saying is right now, I can also tell you there was a time, not that long ago, when I would say, you know what, I don't get rid of my winter stuff until after Victoria Day. Well, guess what? It's after Victoria Day, and I had to wear my winter coat to go to the Costco today. Every day. You know what I think that one of the more informative and perhaps more depressing elements of our news gathering on this station is the weather report, because we're really realizing that this is not a joke. When I was a kid, my dad said it's because of the Sputniks, but the fact of the matter is the climate is changing. The climate's changing, Aaron, and we don't know which way in the hell it's going to go. So yeah, maybe we'll have a good summer, maybe we won't. It sucks right now, but the fact is, please don't tell me that these changes are not related to how we get around, how we use oil for virtually everything.
I would wonder, Jim, if this is a discussion now, this is something that, you think the Premier could use as a little thing to throw to everybody instead of sending everybody checks as he's done the last couple of times around by saying, look, I'm going to do away with this. And that's a win for the provincial government.
Yeah, but on the other hand, the internet is forever, at least as far as we know. And this is the guy who turned around. He's the one who said, I don't want Canada's dirty energy. Okay? And the problem is, at this point, and I say this with all due respect to the Premier of Quebec, is there anyone left who trusts what Francois Legault has to say?
Fair enough. I will point out, by the way, to Daniel Smith's comment right after that thing yesterday where he said, well, he'd be open to the idea, perhaps. When's the last time Quebec stuck its nose into Quebec politics with something good to say?
Exactly. I mean, it's gives you some indication, perhaps, of where we are. Although I think the real player here, the person I want to hear from the most, is the guy in charge, the adult in the room, Mark Carney, the guy who I know he's since gone over that. He has actually mentioned the word pipelines. Remember how hard I laughed when I came on that day when he announced during the campaign? He announced his energy policy, and from top to bottom, he talked about a national corridor, but he never mentioned the word pipeline. Not anywhere, French or English. So I thought it was kind of cute. But the fact of the matter is, Everyone's going to have to get down and dirty, say the words that we hitherto dare not say, and understand that you may not like it. And we are screwing with the climate, but the fact is, this is how we survive. We're addicted to oil. We're hooked on oil. There's no way to get around it. So you know what? Come to terms with it. They say the first big step is admitting there's a problem, and understand that we have to deal with this problem as efficiently as possible. And stop. I know we talk about at the local municipal level of how motorists are absolutely targeted for every single kind of inconvenience and additional expense. Well, it's the same thing as provincial and federal. Stop going after motorists. People go into work. If Quebec, I can't speak, although I think in Ontario it's kind of the same. Transit corporations are the most mismanaged vaudevilles I've ever seen. They just burn money. And the fact is, a lot of people are saying, the hell with it, I want to use my car to get in. Let's come to terms with that as well and stop being so willfully blind and so willfully hypocritical, Aaron, over the idea that people, they may not like it, but they've kind of been given no choice by the way they have been betrayed by governments that claimed that they were going to plan usable public transit.
Yeah, and you know what? At the end of the day, we shall see, as you said, where the adult in the room, what he decides to do, what he decides to follow through on. I will mention, Jim, by the way, in case, I have Carlos Leitao on at 5:30, and I think this will be the first time he is addressing what happened or didn't happen, perhaps, with respect to a cabinet post. Anything specific you'd like me to ask him?
I have something specific I want to ask you, which is, and I hope I'm not putting you on the spot here, but who called whom for this?
Well, to be honest, I've been chasing Carlos Leitao for the past 10 days or so. So
we scored. So it was at our end. Okay, fine. But yeah, I mean, listen, as I said yesterday, there is this big looming, what the hell is going on, loose end in the room, and there's some illogic there. So what's the question? I'm sure it's the number one question. Why aren't you the finance minister?
Okay.
I think that's the question everybody has on their mind ever since. I remember, and we joked about it too, when Philip Couillard was introducing, during the election campaign, was introducing Carlos Leitao. Remember how he referred to him?
No.
As the second best economist in the world.
That's right.
And you wondered who was the fastest gun, But anyway, we never. Maybe ask him that.
It's funny too. If I think back, you bring that up, and I think too. I remember covering the budget that year, right, with the austerity budget, and that word alone, which I guess as we look back in provincial elections, may have cost the Liberals the win. Maybe. I remind people that Carlos Leitao left Quebec. When's the last time that happened? With a budget surplus. Yeah. So. Doesn't take a lot of looking back to wonder how someone who could manage to pull that off could not have done something to help the federal government. But maybe that's a question I'll ask as well. So we'll see.
And I'd love to know where he sees himself in 2 years, because honestly, the backbenches, really?
Yeah, well, I'll ask that question too, kind of. Let me ask you one last thing. We're talking about Canada Post. I brought this up at 2 o'clock. I wanted people to weigh in on this. I'm kind of, baffled. My suggestion here is, I think, given the fact that they continue to lose up to $1 billion every year, maybe it's time for someone to sit back and go, you know what? Clearly, we don't know what we're doing here. We're never going to make money. Let's privatize the business and go from there. What do you think?
Absolutely. I mean, there's plenty of blame to go around here. I'm a union man, but I got to tell you, the union still wants to, stay in the Wayback Machine on other conditions. Oh, apparently the weekend work is a sticking issue, because who wants to work on weekends? Because God forbid, it's not like Amazon or everyone else on earth works on weekends. So watch a Canada Post. And the idea is it's kind of quaint. I'm sorry, I don't want to be flip here, but you're talking to me as if, oh my gosh, what if all the horse and buggy drivers go on strike? What's going to happen there? Obsolescence, obstinance, and quite frankly, cost overruns. That's a pretty bad formula. It's not one that really points towards success.
What do you think happens here, Jim? I mean, we have a threat of a strike Friday at midnight. Do we have a strike, or do we avert this?
Oh, we'll have a strike for sure. We'll absolutely for sure have a strike, and we'll go through the same song and dance we went through before. I forget who the new labor. I'm not even sure we have a labor minister. But remember, they go to the Labor Relations Board and they get an emergency ruling because it's like an essential service, and they force them back to work. But once again, it has an expiry date, and they'll go back through this again. I think they'll just stall the problem because it is so tangled up, and it's so much a part of our organizational infrastructure. As I say, it's obsolete, but it's everywhere. And we're talking about all kinds of investments, all kinds of the human element, all kinds of employees. It's going to be a tough one to figure out. But the status quo, that's the one thing we know on both sides. The status quo when it comes to the union's attitude and to management's approach to overseeing that union are completely obsolete and have to be removed as quickly as possible.
Yeah, that is the first thing. All right, Jim Mennie. James, thank you.
As a man.